Hey guys, Ben from the Regions here. I've been asked to update the market on policy changes that are afoot. As always, these videos are brief simplifications focused on the agriculture sector. We do have an increasing number of clients who are not dairy farms. Just touch base if you need clarification how or if these policies affect your non-farming business. So there's no new changes here. Everything we did get signed off by Cabinet late last year. It's just from March the 10th, these policies are in place. So we've moved away from median wage for visas, and it's now the market rate. That's a pretty ambiguous term. To keep things simple as we like to do, we will focus on about 26 bucks an hour being the market rate for a junior staff member. We've derived that from data available to us, what local jobs to Kiwi school leavers are going for. Bearing in mind New Zealand minimum wage is about to be $23.50, so a little bit above the minimum is the market rate for a junior coming into a farm. The market rate for a herd manager, we've got thousands of these on the books on clients' farms. That's still around that $30 per hour mark. You can, in theory, update someone's compliance wage if they agree, but in principle, a work visa needs to be honoured at the wage it was approved at, and staff are not going to take a lower hourly rate in most cases. So in practice, this change is what we lobbied for some time. The wages for juniors who've never farmed on pasture were probably a bit high, and that was taking away money from a farm's budget to go to the 2IC or the manager. So 26 bucks an hour, including the value of a house for incoming juniors this season, is one of the major policy victories of recent times. People sponsoring their families, that has been a very common question, which it's great that people are starting to get their feet under them and want to bring their families in with them. You will have seen other points in the market and immigration themselves commenting that 56,000 bucks a year on a 40-hour week, which almost everyone on a dairy farm will earn, is enough to sponsor your family. That's not wrong, but it also requires a skilled visa, which in our world is a herd manager or a 2IC or a farm manager visa. So simply earning the money is not enough on its own. You also need to get a skilled visa. In farming, you get a skilled visa by having 3 years commercial, which basically means taxed and we can verify, not farming a bit of rice in a developing country. Commercial farming experience. Or there are a couple of other ways under policy if the person's an extremely fast developer, or if they've got some tertiary education and then in the real world they are performing a role that of a herd manager or above. Talk to us if you feel your situation dictates that you've got someone in a mid or a senior role that should be on a skilled visa. Obviously that comes with a pathway to residency and the ability to sponsor families, but don't simply think that earning 56 grand on its own is enough. Junior visas are now going to be issued for 3 years instead of for 2 years. You may see in the coming months and years, you will see more stuff about maximum continuous stay. That's like what they used to call a stand down. Do not worry about that in agriculture. Our professions are skilled, what I was talking about a minute ago. After someone's been in the country 3 years, they move on to a skilled visa, which has a pathway to residency. Maximum continuous stay or stand down relates to people who don't have pathways to residency. There's kind of been a removal or let's call it a backtrack on some of the MSD engagements for verification of unemployed New Zealanders. There's now no time specification on this. Immigration simply asks for a tick of the box or a good faith. We talked about this internally. We're not going to change our process. We're still going to always check in every case rather than simply shorten it or try and shortcut something. So that we're going to take the same approach there in our world. And anyone living and running businesses in rural New Zealand know that if there's someone who's clean and keen, they've only got to drive down a couple of farm driveways and someone will hire them. So invariably, given the large numbers of cows we milk in our rural communities, there will not be anyone gainfully unemployed and able to take up these jobs, but still a verification we need to do as taxpayers. Tractor drivers or agricultural machinery operator, if you want to be fancy. That's now a skilled profession. That's great. That is a very difficult to fill job locally for contractors or some of our System 4 or 5 farms that need specialist guys that drive gear. So that's great to see. Sector agreements have been removed. Obviously, we never did one for the dairy sector. I was involved in some working groups where we talked and thought and contemplated it. Personally, we were open to it, partly because we want to segregate the dairy sector and rural New Zealand from interesting characters, from interesting industries, predominantly based in the cities, that break some of our immigration rules and give those of us in the agriculture sector a bad name when it's not generally dairy farms that are breaking any of the immigration rules. And that covers all policy updates. So I know this is a really nice time of year. Workload on farms is generally pretty easy. It's very busy in our world as we ramp up for next dairy season. Contract milkers, please come and talk to us if you're wanting to hire new staff for next season. We have a lot of value adds, getting your newly formed business accredited, helping you plan in advance for a family member or a cousin who you might want to hire as your junior, and navigating that step. It's amazing to see so many of you going from manager to contract milker, but in ways that you're probably pretty good with grass and cows. Life as a contract milker is more about budget and building a team and having discipline to stay on target with your goals. So it becomes more being a business person and a business family than it simply does being a dairy farmer. So contract milkers, yeah, please do get in touch. I hope all of that makes sense on policy changes. On the whole, I read something in the Herald. There's a Waikato farmer quoted as being cautiously optimistic. I think those are good words for where immigration policy is at. Thank you to Andrew Hoggard of the ACT Party, obviously Erica, who currently holds the immigration portfolio. Policy's in a good place. Thank you, mate.